Stop. Every head turned. He pointed. You, the waitress. She froze mid-step. Answer my question. Silk gowns, diamond earrings, 30 elegant women held their breath. He wasn't looking at any of them. She opened her mouth and gave an answer no one expected. His eyes went dark. 24 hours later, someone tried to kill her. If you love emotional Afro-Korean love stories, subscribe to Ebony and Pearl Stories. This is just the beginning.
Madame Park rose from her seat, crimson silk cascading around her as she glided towards Sung-ho's table. Her champagne glass caught the light perfectly, rehearsed, calculated, expensive. "Mr. Gam," she purred. "I've been waiting to." His voice cut through the room like a blade. "Stop." The entire room froze. Gam Sung-ho leaned back, eyes cold and assessing. He didn't look at Madame Park. Instead, his gaze swept across the room, past the silk, past the diamonds, past the desperation masquerading as confidence. "A question," he said quietly. "What's happening?" He never does this. 6 weeks ago, my organization acquired a vineyard in Bordeaux. The estate came with a 1947 Chateau d'Yquem, one of 12 bottles left in existence. It's flawed, oxidized on one side. Volatile acidity detected. He paused. "Tell me how to serve it." The room went silent. Madame Park's confidence crumbled. I would consult an expert, Mr. Gam. Perhaps auction it for." Wrong. She retreated, humiliated. Other women exchanged nervous glances. No one dared speak. Then the service door opened. Tracy Belmonte entered, balancing a tray of cleared glasses. Her uniform was simple: black vest, white shirt, hair pulled back in a neat bun. No silk, no diamonds, no desperation. Just calm efficiency and a quiet dignity that needed no announcement. She felt the silence before she understood it. Her supervisor had warned her. Table 12. The center one. Serve carefully. No questions. No eye contact. But as she passed near Sung-ho's table, his voice stopped her. "You, waitress." Tracy turned slowly, meeting his gaze without trembling. "Yes, sir? Answer my question." "He can't be serious." "She just started tonight." Tracy glanced at the elegant women watching her with barely concealed schadenfreude, then back at Sung-ho. She set down her tray, hands steady. "The 1947 Chateau d'Yquem with oxidation and volatile acidity," she repeated calmly. "You don't serve it at all. Not in the traditional sense." The room tensed. Like this video if you're hooked. Let's see how many of you are watching right now. "The oxidation means it's already decomposing, fighting itself," Tracy continued. "Pouring it conventionally would expose the flaws immediately. But if you decant it in 2 stages, separating the volatile compounds first, then blend only the stable elements with a 1949 vintage from the same estate, you create something new." She paused. Not restoration. Reinvention. The result isn't just drinkable. It's a story. The kind of story a man like you would appreciate, Mr. Gam. Something broken, made powerful. Silence. Then Gam Sung-ho smiled. Not a polite smile. A dangerous one. Name: Tracy Belmonte. How does a waitress know 18th century wine salvage techniques? Tracy met his eyes evenly. "My father was a sommelier. Before he died." Something flickered across Sung-ho's face. Recognition, perhaps. Respect. He gestured to the empty chair across from him. "Sit." "What is he actually?" "I'm working, Mr. Gam," Tracy replied politely. "My supervisor will not object." His tone left no room for argument. Tracy hesitated, then sat. The elegant women watched with barely concealed fury. Sung-ho poured water into a crystal glass and slid it toward her. "You're not from Seoul." "Chicago," Tracy answered. I've been here 6 months. Why Seoul? My brother needed medical treatment. It's available here. And you work as a waitress to pay for it. It wasn't a question, but Tracy nodded anyway. Sung-ho studied her face, the exhaustion she tried to hide, the quiet strength she didn't know she wore like armor. How old is your brother? 16. And your parents? Gone. The word hung between them, final and heavy. Sung-ho leaned back. You're alone. I'm surviving, Tracy corrected. For the first time that night, genuine interest sparked in his eyes. Not desire, not pity, something more dangerous, curiosity. That will be all, he said quietly. Tracy stood, picked up her tray, and walked toward the bar. Behind her, she felt his eyes follow her every step. And when she glanced back, just once, Sung-ho was still watching. His assistant leaned in, whispering urgently. Sung-ho raised one hand, silencing him. Then he spoke, voice low enough that only his inner circle could hear. Find out everything about the waitress. Family, history, why she's really here. I want her file by morning. Yes, boss. And put security on her. Discreetly. You think she's a threat? Gam Sung-ho's expression darkened. No. I think I just made her one. Tracy stepped outside the Sapphire Room 40 minutes later, pulling her coat tight against the cold Seoul night. Her shift had ended, but her mind kept replaying the conversation. Why did he ask about Marcus? Why did he make me sit? She walked toward the subway station, footsteps echoing on the wet pavement. And then she felt it, the unmistakable weight of being watched. Tracy stopped, heart pounding. She turned slowly, scanning the shadows. Nothing. But the feeling didn't leave. Someone was following her. Tracy quickened her pace toward the subway station, the feeling of being watched crawling up her spine. The Seoul streets were busy enough, late-night crowds spilling from restaurants and bars, but the sensation persisted. She stopped abruptly, spinning around. A man in a black coat stood near a lamppost, pretending to check his phone. Tracy's heart hammered. She turned back and walked faster. It's nothing. You're being paranoid. But when she glanced over her shoulder again, the man was gone, replaced by someone else. Different coat. Same deliberate distance. What is happening? Tracy descended into the subway, disappearing into the safety of the crowd. She didn't know that 2 cars behind hers, one of Gam Sung-ho's men sat quietly, ensuring she made it home. And she didn't know that by morning, a full dossier would be sitting on Sung-ho's desk. Gam Sung-ho didn't return to the Sapphire Room the next night, or the night after that. But his men did. They watched Tracy work, efficient, kind, unbothered by the whispers that followed her everywhere. The elegant women who frequented the club had made her target. Snide comments, deliberate spills, accidental shoulder bumps. Tracy never reacted. One evening, a co-worker, an older woman named Mrs. Choi, stumbled while carrying a heavy tray. Tracy caught it before the glasses shattered, steadying the woman with a gentle hand. Are you all right? Tracy asked in careful Korean. Mrs. Choi nodded, embarrassed. My back. It's been bad lately. Go home early, Tracy said. I'll cover your tables. But you've already worked a double shift. I'm fine. Go rest. Mrs. Choi's eyes glistened. Thank you. Later that night, when a wealthy businessman tried to slip Tracy a 500,000 Korean wons tip for simply refilling his water, she politely refused. I didn't do anything to earn that, sir. Keep it, he insisted. Pretty girls like you should be rewarded. Tracy set the money on his table. Thank you, but no. She walked away, ignoring his stunned expression. Sung-ho read the investigation report in his private office, whiskey untouched on his desk. Subject, Tracy Belmonte age, 24 origin, Chicago, Illinois, USA family, orphaned at 14. Younger brother, Marcus Belmonte, 16, diagnosed with juvenile idiopathic arthritis. Requires experimental biologic treatment unavailable in the U.S. criminal record. None financial history. No debt. No suspicious transactions. Works 2 jobs. Sends 90% of income to brother's medical care. Romantic history. No current relationships. No pattern of targeting wealthy men. Psychological profile. High resilience. Low trust. Fiercely protective of brother. Sung-ho closed the file slowly. No manipulation. No agenda. No desperation. She was exactly what she appeared to be, and that made her the most dangerous woman he'd ever met. Tracy was wiping down tables after closing when the lights dimmed. She looked up. Gam Sung-ho stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 bodyguards. "We're closed, Mr. Gam," Tracy said evenly, not stopping her work. "I'm aware." He dismissed his men with a gesture. They left, closing the door behind them. Sung-ho walked to the bar, pouring himself a drink. "Whiskey? I don't drink on the job." "You're not on the job. Your shift ended 10 minutes ago." Tracy set down her cloth. "What do you want?" "To talk." "About you." Tracy crossed her arms. "There's nothing interesting about me." Sung-ho smiled faintly. "You refused 500,000 Korean wons tonight. Most people would have taken it." "I didn't earn it." "You worked a double shift covering for a coworker. That's earning it." "That's being a decent person," Tracy corrected. "It doesn't require payment." Sung-ho studied her. "You don't trust money." "I don't trust easy money." "Because you've never had it." Tracy's expression hardened. "Because I've seen what it does to people." "And what does it do?" "Makes them think they own you." Silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken understanding. Sung-ho set down his glass. "I read your file." Tracy stiffened. "What?" "Your brother. The treatment. Why you came to Seoul." Anger flashed in her eyes. "You had no right." "I have every right," Sung-ho interrupted calmly. "You walked into my world. That means I know everything." "Then you know I'm not interested in whatever game you're playing." "This isn't a game." "Then what is it?" Sung-ho stepped closer. "Curiosity." Tracy didn't back away. "Find someone else to be curious about." "I can't." "Why not?" His eyes held hers. "Because you're the first person in 10 years who's looked at me without fear or greed." Tracy's breath caught. For a moment, something flickered between them, recognition maybe, understanding. Then she stepped back. "I need to finish closing." Sung-ho nodded slowly. "Good night, Tracy Belmonte." He walked to the door, then paused. "One more thing." "What?" "Stop taking the subway alone at night. It's not safe." "I've been fine for 6 months." "That was before I noticed you." The words hung in the air, both warning and promise. Then he was gone. The attack came on a Friday night. The Sapphire Room was at capacity, businessmen celebrating deals, socialites showing off new jewelry, the usual hum of wealth and excess. Tracy was behind the bar, mixing drinks, when the first gunshot shattered the chandelier. Screaming erupted. Glass rained down. Women dove under tables. Men scrambled for exits. 3 masked men stormed through the entrance, weapons raised. Everybody down. Tracy dropped behind the bar, heart hammering. Through the gap between bottles, she saw chaos. Overturned tables, spilled champagne mixing with blood, people trampling each other to escape. One of the masked men vaulted over the bar. Tracy scrambled backward, but he grabbed her arm. "Where's Gam Sung-ho?" I don't know." "Liar." He shoved her against the wall, gun pressed to her temple. Tracy's mind went blank with terror. Then, the service door exploded open. Sung-ho stood there, flanked by a dozen armed men. His expression was lethal, controlled fury radiating from every inch of him. "Let her go." The masked man left. "Or what?" Sung-ho's voice dropped to a whisper. Or I'll make your death last 3 days. Before the man could respond, Sung-ho's bodyguard fired. The masked man dropped. Chaos erupted again, gunfire, shouting, bodies colliding. Tracy pressed herself against the wall, covering her ears. Through the violence, she heard Sung-ho's voice cut through everything. Protect the waitress. Two of Sung-ho's men materialized beside Tracy, forming a human shield around her. Gunfire cracked through the sapphire room. Bodies dropped. The masked attackers were outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. It was over in 90 seconds. When silence finally returned, the room looked like a war zone. Overturned tables, shattered glass, blood pooling on the marble floor. Tracy's ears rang. Her hands trembled. But when she heard groaning nearby, instinct took over. A young waiter, barely 20, lay beside an overturned chair, clutching his shoulder. Blood seeped between his fingers. Tracy scrambled toward him, ripping off her apron. Don't move. Let me see. It hurts. I know. Stay still. She pressed the fabric against his wound, applying pressure. The boy whimpered. You're going to be okay, Tracy said firmly. Just breathe. Across the room, Sung-ho watched. He'd just killed 3 men. His suit was splattered with blood. His hand still held a gun, but his eyes were locked on Tracy, kneeling in broken glass, comforting a stranger, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. Something shifted in his chest. Not attraction, not curiosity. Something deeper, dangerous. She should have run, but she didn't. Paramedics arrived. Police swarmed the scene. Tracy stayed with the injured waiter until they loaded him into the ambulance, whispering reassurances he probably couldn't hear. When she finally stood, her knees nearly buckled. Sung-ho was there, steadying her. Are you hurt? His voice was rough. Tracy shook her head. I'm fine. You're trembling. I said I'm fine. Sung-ho studied her face, the shock she was fighting to hide, the adrenaline crash beginning to set in. He removed his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. My men will take you home. I can take the subway. No. The word was absolute. You're not taking the subway. Not tonight. Not ever again. Tracy opened her mouth to argue, but exhaustion won. She nodded. Sung-ho watched her leave, flanked by his most trusted guards. And in that moment, he made a decision that would change everything. Tracy didn't notice at first. The black sedan that followed her to work each morning. The man in the coffee shop who always sat 2 tables away. The way her rent, always a struggle, suddenly stopped appearing on her landlord's payment notices. It took 3 weeks before she realized something was wrong. She was reviewing her bank statements when she saw it, a deposit. 5 million Korean wons. No source listed. Her hands went cold. Then her phone rang. The hospital. Ms. Belmonte? This is Dr. Park at Seoul National University Hospital. I'm calling about your brother Marcus's account. Tracy's heart stopped. Is he okay? He's fine. Actually, I'm calling because there's been a development. His treatment balance has been paid in full. All future appointments as well. What? The payment came through yesterday. We assumed you'd arranged it, but Tracy hung up. She grabbed her coat and headed straight to the one place she knew she'd find answers. The Sapphire Room was closed for renovations after the attack, but Sung-ho's private office was on the top floor. Tracy stormed past the security guards, who mysteriously didn't stop her, and burst through his door. Sung-ho sat behind a massive desk, reviewing documents. He didn't look up. I was wondering when you'd come. You paid my rent, Tracy said, voice shaking with anger. You paid my brother's medical bills. You've been having me followed. Yes. Why? Sung-ho finally looked up. Because you're in danger. I was fine before I met you. No. His voice was calm. Certain. You were invisible. Now you're not. The men who attacked the Sapphire Room,
They saw you.
they know I protected you. That makes you leverage. Tracy's breath caught. That's not my problem. It became your problem the moment I made it mine. I didn't ask for this. Tracy's voice cracked. I didn't ask for protection or money or guards following me everywhere. I just want to work, take care of my brother, and be left alone. Sung-ho stood, rounding the desk slowly. You can't be left alone anymore. You don't own me. I never said I did. Then what do you want from me? The question hung between them, raw and honest. Sung-ho stopped inches away. I don't know. Tracy's eyes searched his face. Then let me go. I can't. Why not?
His jaw tightened.
Because you don't belong in my world. You're kind.
Honest.
You help people without expecting anything in return. His voice dropped. And that's exactly why I need to keep you safe from it. Tracy's anger faltered. I'm not some damsel who needs saving. No, Sung-ho agreed. You're a woman trying to survive in a city that doesn't care if you do. But I care. And in my world, that means something. Tracy stepped back, shaking her head. This is too much. I can't. I need to go. She turned toward the door. Tracy. She stopped but didn't turn around. The protection stays, Sung-ho said quietly, whether you accept it or not. Tracy left without responding. Tracy pushed through her shifts with mechanical efficiency. She ignored the guards, returned the rent payments, refused to think about Gam Sung-ho or the way his words echoed in her head at night. You don't belong in my world. She was refilling water glasses when the room tilted. Tracy grabbed the table, vision swimming. Are you all right? A customer asked. I'm fine. The floor rushed up to meet her. Tracy woke in a hospital bed, fluorescent lights burning her eyes. A doctor stood nearby, reviewing a tablet. Ms. Belmonte, you're awake. Good. Tracy sat up slowly. What happened? You fainted. Dehydration, exhaustion, low blood sugar. The doctor paused. And pregnancy. The world stopped. What? You're approximately 8 weeks pregnant. The fainting episode was likely due to...
No.
Tracy's voice was hollow. That's impossible. The doctor's expression softened. The test is definitive. We'll need to schedule prenatal care. I need to leave. Miss Belmonte, you should rest. Tracy swung her legs off the bed, ignoring the 4 in her arm. Her mind raced. 8 weeks. That means Chicago. Before she left, the night before her flight, David, her ex-boyfriend, the one who'd promised to help with Marcus's treatment, the one who'd disappeared the moment he learned how much it would actually cost. Miss Belmonte, the doctor said gently. Where's the father? Tracy's hands shook. There is no father. Tracy sat in the hospital corridor, discharge papers clutched in her trembling hands. She'd made an appointment. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. The clinic specialized in discretion. No questions asked. She couldn't bring a child into this world. Not alone. Not broke. Not with Marcus still needing care and a Mafia boss thinking he owned her life. I'm sorry, she thought, hand hovering over her still flat stomach. I can't give you what you deserve. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Choi. Are you okay? Mr. Gam's men came looking for you. Tracy's blood ran cold. She turned off her phone. Tomorrow. She'd handle this tomorrow. Then disappear. Find a new job. A new apartment. Somewhere Gam Sung-ho's shadow couldn't reach. She didn't know it was already too late. Tracy arrived at the clinic at 8:45 a.m., filling out paperwork with mechanical precision.
Name. Age.
Medical history. Reason for procedure. Unable to provide adequate care. Ms. Belmonte? A nurse appeared. We're ready for you. Tracy followed her down a sterile hallway. Each step felt heavier than the last. This is the right choice, she told herself. The only choice. The procedure room was small, clinical, cold. Tracy changed into the gown, hands shaking as she tied it. The doctor entered, reviewing her chart. Any questions before we begin? Tracy shook her head. All right. Lie back, please. Tracy closed her eyes. The door exploded open. Gam Sung-ho stood in the doorway, chest heaving like he'd run the entire way. His eyes found Tracy on the table, and something visceral crossed his face. Rage, fear, desperation. Get out, he said to the doctor. Sir, this is a private medical.
Out.
The doctor and nurse fled. Tracy sat up, clutching the gown. How did you? Your phone's been off for 18 hours. You missed your shift. My men tracked your hospital discharge.
His voice was raw.
What are you doing? Something that's none of your business. Sung-ho's eyes dropped to the medical equipment. The realization hit him like a physical blow. No, you don't get to decide this. Tracy, it's not your child. The words ripped out of her. It's not your problem. Just leave me alone. Sung-ho crossed the room in 3 strides, gripping her shoulders. Is that what you think? That I'd only care if it was mine? Tracy's eyes burned. Why do you care at all? Because his voice broke. Because you're trying to erase yourself to survive. And I can't watch that happen. I don't have a choice. You do. Sung-ho released her, stepping back. Marry me. Silence. Tracy laughed bitterly. You're insane. I'm serious. Why would you marry me? Tracy's voice shook. You don't even know me. Sung-ho pulled a chair close and sat, meeting her eyes. Listen to what I'm offering. 1 year. A contract marriage. 12 months, and then you're free to leave with everything you need. I don't understand. No romance. No expectations beyond public appearances when necessary for your safety. You want separate rooms? You'll have them. You want to keep working? Fine. But you and the child get full protection. Tracy stared at him. And when the year ends, I give you 1 billion won. You take Marcus. You take the child. You disappear if that's what you want. I'll never contact you again. 1 billion. Tracy couldn't process the number. That's insane. That's your freedom. Your brother's future. Your child's security. But why? Tracy whispered, the baby isn't even yours. I don't care whose it is. Sung-ho's jaw tightened. In my world, perception is everything. We announce the marriage immediately. Say the pregnancy happened early. No one will question a child born with my name and my protection. Tracy's mind raced. What do you get from this? The truth. Sung-ho leaned back. My grandmother is dying. Her last wish is to see me married, to know the family continues. This gives her peace. And it keeps you alive. Alive. The attack at the Sapphire Room wasn't random. My enemies saw me protect you. That makes you leverage whether you like it or not. As my wife, you're untouchable. Tracy's hands trembled. I'd still be a prisoner.
No.
You'd be safe. There's a difference. She looked away, tears burning her eyes. I can't be someone's property. You wouldn't be. 1 year of protection. Then you walk away with enough money to live however you want. Raise your child without fear. Give Marcus the best care in the world. His voice softened. You'd be choosing survival, not surrender. Tracy closed her eyes, feeling the weight of impossible choices. 1 year. Marcus gets his treatment. The baby gets a chance. Then freedom. If I agree, she said slowly. I won't pretend to love you. I'm not asking you to. And after the year, you can't interfere with my life. Ever. You have my word. Tracy opened her eyes. Then I'll do it. The news exploded across Seoul's underworld within hours. Gam Sung-ho to marry. Bride pregnant. The elegant women who'd competed for his attention were humiliated. Business rivals saw weakness. His allies questioned his judgment. A waitress?
She's nobody.
Foreign, pregnant, and poor. What is he thinking? But no one dared say it to Sung-ho's face. The photographs appeared in every underground network. Tracy beside Sung-ho at his grandmother's estate, wearing a simple dress, her hand resting protectively over her stomach. She looked calm, dignified, unbothered by the whispers. And that only made them hate her more. In a high-rise office overlooking Gangnam, Madame Seo watched the news coverage with barely contained fury. She was 53, elegant and lethal. For 20 years, she'd been Sung-ho's father's most trusted advisor. When he died, she'd assumed she'd rise to stand beside Sung-ho, as partner, as equal, perhaps as something more. She'd waited,
Planned.
positioned herself perfectly.
And now?
A pregnant waitress had taken what should have been hers. Her assistant entered nervously. Madam, the wedding is scheduled for next week. Private ceremony. I'm aware. Should we send congratulations? Madame Seo's smile was ice. Oh, we'll send something. She turned to her enforcer, a scarred man named Han who'd eliminated problems for 2 decades. I want everything on Tracy Belmonte.
Her past.
Her secrets. Every weakness she's hiding. And when we find them, Madame Seo's eyes glittered with cold calculation. Then we'll remind Sung-ho that some mistakes are permanent. She picked up her phone, dialing a number saved for emergencies. It's me, she said smoothly. There's a woman Sung-ho's protecting. I need her followed. Every move, every conversation. She paused, listening. Exactly. Watch her closely, very closely. The wedding was small, private. Just Sung-ho's grandmother, a few witnesses, and a contract signed in silence. Tracy wore a simple white dress. No veil, no flowers, just her hand in Sung-ho's as they bowed to his grandmother, who cried tears of joy. Take care of each other, she whispered, pressing Tracy's hand. Promise me. Tracy nodded, throat tight. I promise. 3 days later, the attacks began. The first attempt was subtle. Tracy's morning tea, prepared by a new staff member, tasted bitter. She set it down, suspicious. By evening, the staff member had vanished, and Sung-ho's men found traces of oleander extract in the cup. Stay close to me, Sung-ho ordered. No food or drink unless I've cleared it first. The second attempt was bolder. Tracy was leaving a prenatal appointment when a black van pulled up. 2 men grabbed her arms. She screamed, fighting back, until Sung-ho's security descended like a storm. The kidnappers were dragged away. Tracy was unharmed, but shaken. This is because of me, she whispered that night. Sung-ho sat across from her in the penthouse, jaw tight. This is because of them, not you. I should leave, disappear. It would be safer.
No.
His voice was absolute. You're not running. We fight. The third attempt nearly succeeded. Tracy's car, checked daily by Sung-ho's mechanics, had its brake lines cut. She discovered it only when the brakes failed at a red light. She swerved, crashing into a guardrail instead of oncoming traffic. Sung-ho arrived at the scene before the ambulance, pulling her from the wreckage with shaking hands. I'm okay, Tracy insisted, though her shoulder screamed with pain. The baby's okay. Sung-ho held her face, eyes blazing. This ends now. Over the next weeks, Tracy changed. She learned the names of Sung-ho's enemies, memorized exit routes, carried a panic button disguised as a bracelet. She stopped flinching at the bodyguards shadowing her and started asking questions. Why does Madame Seo hate me? She asked one evening. Sung-ho looked up from his paperwork. She believes she should be where you are. As your wife, as my partner, in business, in power.
He paused.
She's been positioning herself for years. Your arrival disrupted everything. Then maybe we should. No. Sung-ho's voice was steel. You don't negotiate with vipers. You cut off their heads. Tracy learned something else, too. She learned that strength wasn't just survival. It was choosing to stand when running would be easier. The call came at midnight. Boss. His head of security's voice was urgent. We intercepted intel. Madame Sio's planning something tonight. A warehouse in Incheon. She's meeting with the Kwan family. Sung-ho was already moving. How many men? She brought 12. Should we move in? Not yet. Let her feel safe. He turned to Tracy. Stay here. Don't leave the penthouse. Tracy grabbed his arm. If this is about me, I should. No. His eyes softened. I need you safe. Please. She nodded. But 30 minutes later, Tracy's phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Gam, a woman's voice.
Smooth.
Venomous. This is Madame Sio. I believe we should talk. Woman to woman. Tracy's blood chilled. I have nothing to say to you. Not even about the real reason Sung-ho married you? Oh, my dear. You really think it was protection? Madame Sio laughed. Meet me at the Incheon warehouse. Alone. Or I'll make sure your brother's treatment gets complicated. The line went dead. Tracy stared at her phone, heart pounding. Marcus. She grabbed her coat. The warehouse was dark, cavernous, smelling of rust and seawater. Tracy stepped inside, every instinct screaming danger. Madame Sio emerged from the shadows, flanked by armed men. So brave, she purred. So stupid. You wanted to talk. Talk. There's nothing to discuss. Your problem. Problems get eliminated. Tracy's hand moved to her panic button. Oh, I wouldn't. Madame Sio smiled. My men are jamming all signals. No one's coming. She was wrong. The warehouse doors exploded inward. Sung-ho stormed through with 24 armed men, fury radiating from every step. Get away from her. Madame Sio's confidence cracked. Sung-ho, this isn't. You threatened her, poisoned her, tried to kill her. His voice was lethal. You thought I wouldn't find out? She's nothing. A waitress. She doesn't belong in our world. No, Sung-ho agreed, stepping between Tracy and Madame Sio. She doesn't belong in a world built on betrayal and greed. That's exactly why I chose her. Gunfire erupted. Madame Sio's men were outnumbered, outmatched. Within minutes, it was over. Sung-ho stood over Madame Sio, who knelt on the concrete, wrists bound. You're finished, he said coldly. Your assets are frozen. Your alliance is severed. Consider yourself exiled. Madame Sio spat at his feet. She'll destroy you. Sung-ho smiled. Maybe, but it'll be my choice. The next morning, Sung-ho called a meeting of every major faction in Seoul's underworld. Tracy stood beside him, bruised, exhausted, but unbowed. Some of you questioned my marriage, Sung-ho began. Thought my wife was a weakness. Let me clarify. He took Tracy's hand. Tracy Belmonte is my wife. The child she carries is mine in every way that matters. Anyone who threatens her threatens me. Anyone who harms her will not live to regret it. Silence. Then slowly, nods of acknowledgement. The message was clear. Tracy was untouchable. 3 months later, Tracy stood in the penthouse, staring at the calendar. 11 months since the wedding. 1 month until the contract ended. 1 month until her billion-won settlement and freedom. She should have been relieved. Instead, she felt hollow. Sung-ho entered quietly. The papers are ready. Whenever you want to sign them. Tracy turned. And if I don't? He froze. What? The contract said 1 year. That I could leave. But it never said I had to. Sung-ho's expression was carefully neutral. You want to extend it?
No.
Tracy stepped closer. I want to tear it up. I don't understand. The contract was about survival. But somewhere between the attacks and the fights and the protection, her voice cracked. I stopped surviving and started living. Because of you. Sung-ho's eyes widened. Tracy, you gave me freedom by never demanding anything.
You protected me without caging me.
You made me feel safe without making me feel owned.
She took his hand.
So, I'm not leaving because the contract ended. I'm staying because I choose to. For the first time since she'd known him, Gam Sung-ho looked vulnerable. You don't have to, he whispered. I can give you the money, the freedom. I don't want money. I want this.
Us.
If you want it too. Sung-ho pulled her close, forehead resting against hers. I've wanted it since the moment you answered my impossible question. Tracy smiled through tears. Then ask me again. Without a contract. Sung-ho stepped back, taking her hand formally. Tracy Belmonte, will you marry me? Not for protection or contracts or anything except this, me, choosing you. Every day. Yes, Tracy whispered. Every day. And the most feared man in Seoul, who'd never bowed to anyone, bowed his head to love. Thank you for being part of this journey. Subscribe to Ebony and Pearl Stories for more emotional Afro-Korean love stories. This is just the beginning.
You stayed with Tracy and Sung-ho all the way to the end. That means something to me. It really does. You know, when I create these stories, I imagine someone out there, maybe you, who needs to escape for a little while. Someone who believes in love that defies the odds. Someone who knows that the most beautiful connections happen when we least expect them. And if Tracy's story touched your heart even a little bit, then I did my job. But here's the thing. Her journey, it's just one of many. The next story waiting for you is even more intense, more emotional. The kind that'll have you holding your breath and smiling through tears at the same time. Click that video on your screen right now. Don't let the algorithm decide what you watch next. Choose connection. Choose emotion. Choose us. Oh, and before you go, I realized something. I've been telling you stories, but I don't even know where you are right now. Are you watching from Lagos, London, New York, Seoul, somewhere I've never even heard of? Drop your city or country in the comments. Let me know you're real. Let me know we're in this together. Because honestly, knowing you're out there makes every story worth telling. See you in the next one, love. Don't keep me waiting.